Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Exploring Your Shadow, this time through BDSM and submission. Last time we did an episode about dominance, but this time I want to do submission, which is more familiar to me anyways in any in shadow work exploration anyways. So what is a submission? Submission is submitting to a person or to a cause or whatever. It's a form of servitude. So basically what you're doing is submitting to a person and his desires. But if you're doing it through the eyes of BDSM, you're doing it because you want to submit. It's not a force act. It's not an act where you don't have any rights or any says. You kind of do it because you want to. And that's the main difference between submission and slavery. Okay, today we're not talking about slavery. Slavery is a different stuff, and slavery is an act of taking someone's freedom by force. Alright. Submission is submitting and giving yourself to someone out of your own desires. I know there was a lot of talk about submission and BDSM because of the movies like 50 Shades of Grey, which are basically a fantasy as well, and they don't really have a lot to do with BDSM and submission, because in the movie, I'm not gonna go through the movie a lot because this is not the point of this video, but I don't even know what's her name, doesn't matter. She doesn't really submit to him. She kind of does it because she loves him, and it's not out of her own desires. Better movies about submission would be The Secretary or The Story of O, which are my favorite movies anyways in the genre. So I wouldn't go for 50 Shades of Grey as a reference anyways. Definitely not as a reference to BDSM or submission in any form. So if we talk about the psychology behind submission, we're in for a treat, because you see, the symbol of servitude as submission to anyone has been appearing throughout religions a lot, through Christianity, Buddhism, and there is still a lot of the same thing in an Indian culture, in Hinduism, where one is achieving enlightenment through submitting to serve. In the psychology, it's I'd say it's very different to talk about submission nowadays than talking about submission 50 years ago, because we're talking about completely different concepts. Okay, so like 50, 60, 100 years ago, women didn't have much options, so they kind of had to submit to men, because a lot of them didn't have the opportunity to work or even to go and vote or whatever. So we're talking about a completely different concept nowadays. I'm talking about the concept of submission in grown adults that have other options. Okay, I'm not talking about submission in a form where one does not have any other option. This must be a choice rather than a force act. Having that said, having submission as an option is a completely different set of behaviors and rules. Okay, so why would one even want to submit? It's a completely different story than a person that wants to dominate. Okay, a person that wants to dominate, maybe he was born like that, maybe he was forced to submit throughout his entire life, so a healing place for him is to dominate. What would a person be like that really wanted to submit? Okay, so there's a couple of different things that can inspire a person to submit. So first, as a person is born like that, and the person has been very shy throughout life, like Rocky's wife, for example, which is a perfect example of like a very submissive, shy woman naturally. She's just like that. And throughout the relationship with Rocky, she actually becomes more dominant. Well, he's still the one kind of holding everything in place, but she becomes more dominant through the relationship with him because he's kind of helping her to get out of the shelf. So a person that is naturally shy, that is naturally submissive, a healing place for that person would be to become dominant, at least for some time in their life. Okay, so let's look at the second type of person, which is one that's sitting here in front of you. This person has been made responsible throughout her life, since the early childhood. So, for example, like my parents put up a lot on my back. Like I had to be responsible for my mom's well-being. I had to be responsible for my dad. I had to kind of keep him, like take care of his emotions like way too much. So ever since I remember, I was kind of responsible for my parents' behaviors, emotions, and also I was in a hurry to grow up. So for me, being very dominant and being very responsible is a natural state of being. But there's also a shadow. Okay, so when I was a small child, I probably wanted my parents to be responsible for my feelings, for my emotions, for my behavior, and they didn't. So for me, in my professional life, I had this injury that I couldn't really excel, which kind of healed at the moment. But in my personal emotional life, I never had an urge to dominate another man. It just I never had this urge. I never wanted to do it. Because I was very strong, I was attracting a lot of submissive and weak men, which wasn't really something I was looking for. So after a while, that relationship kind of didn't work because they got to meet another part of me, which wasn't really strong and very, dominating. I just had that in my profession and I wanted to keep it there. The other part of me actually wanted another person to take charge because in these moments I could feel like someone is taking care of me and I can relax because I didn't know how to relax before. So you can have a typical example for this is a Japanese businessman. So he's leading a big company, he's very strong at work, he's and then he pays a woman to spank him. Someone would say that this man is crazy, but no, he's actually bringing balance into his life. He's actually balancing two different edges of his persona. So now we have these two different kinds of people, and what would be healing for the second type of a person? How would this person approach towards his submission? I'm sorry, but I'm talking a lot about females because I'm one, but you can be a man as well and have the same urge. Japanese man that I that I was talking about. So step number 1, allow yourself to fantasize. Allow yourself to go anywhere you want. I had this trouble with fantasizing about submission because I felt like this is my weakness. I felt weak. If I fantasize about, submitting to a man, then this makes me weak. But no, these are only your thoughts. These are only your fantasies. Nobody has to know them. Nobody has to see them, and you can just fantasize about whatever the fuck you want, because this is a free country. I don't know where you live, but I hope any country is a free country for your thoughts. So be sure to explore them. Step number 2. If you want to go ahead with this, all right, you need to decide whether you want to submit or not. This can't be someone else's decision. It needs to be yours, and you need to decide whether you want to do it or not. If you go ahead with this, you need to dedicate yourself towards your submission. There is no man in this world or a woman that can break you to the point where you want to submit. You need to decide, and you need to freely give your power to another person. Okay? So There is no option where someone is gonna break you and then you're gonna submit. Like, this is rape and this is slavery. Okay, we're not talking about that. And it's illegal as well. So if you want to submit to someone, find a safe person. This person is dominant. You want to give yourself to that man or woman. You need to make an effort on your part to submit. Number 3, look at what you're getting from your submission. What kind of space is opening up? Like, allow yourself to explore. Okay, so whatever you want to explore, talk to your partner, go in that direction, and see psychologically what needs need to be fulfilled in this area. For me, it was the need for security, the need to relax, the need to trust someone, the need to give myself to another person, which I haven't been doing since my early childhood, because when I was a child, I saw my parents and I was looking at them and I was like thinking, these people are not reliable. There is no chance I'm gonna give myself to these people because they are not here to fulfill my needs. Like, they only care about their own needs. Okay, and then when you're ready to do this, make a contract, pick a safe word, talk to your partner, discuss, negotiate. It's very important. And remember, whatever you feel, whatever you kind of experience, it's a valuable tool for your self-exploration. Do not discard it. Do not just think about it superficially. This is like opening a vault and like looking what's inside. For me, a submission is like a very personal and beautiful thing that I can do. And I found out, I actually found my femininity in it. Like, I was very masculine before because I was kind of I raised myself to become masculine because it was the only option I had. But it doesn't have to be the only option I have in my life. Like, I can choose to be whatever I want. You can choose to be whatever you want. You can explore yourself. You can build yourself from the scratches. You can build yourself from little pieces, and you can assemble the most beautiful person in the world. But you need to be ready to explore. If you don't explore yourself, how will you know? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. The last video actually got a lot of views, which I was kind of, because I only just started with this channel. So I'm not used to getting a lot of views and likes. Thank you so much for this. If you have any questions, comments, please do. And please hit that subscribe button. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.